Umani ng samot-saring reaksyon ang viral at pinag-usapang drag performance ng Pinoy drag queen at social media personality na si Pura Luca Vega.
Hi Zais and Noise, disclaimer. So we're gonna be having some unpopular opinions in this video. If you have any that you want to share, just leave it in the comment section below. Thank you. So there was this drag queen that did a drag performance, a rock version of Namin, and there's been a lot of controversy, regarding the performance. There's been opinions from the LGBTQ community and from the non-LGBTQ community. So we wanted to, talk about it, react on it, and and get your opinions too in the comments. So we watched the video a couple of minutes ago actually, and I think we have different perspectives on it. But let's start with you, Chase. Like, what was the first thing that came into your mind when you saw the video?
I mean, for one thing, I was trying to determine which rock band was his inspiration. I thought Twisted Sister because of the way he did the makeup. But the other thing I was thinking was there was a lot of people in that club. Now, I don't know if this is something that he advertised or if he just took over another club and decided he was going to perform then. But I feel like the crowd was definitely into it. So my guess is this is definitely a younger age group, because I definitely don't see that flying in a with an older age group. Definitely not here in the Philippines at least. But it also reminds me a lot of this has been a sort of phenomenon where a lot of groups that used to be marginalized and discriminated against, they've received this sort of get out of jail free card sort of now. And so now they've started sort of abusing that, because they're like, hey, we were discriminated for so many years. And this is not just related to LGBTQ. This is amongst any marginalized group of any size and scope, right? They've all started abusing this get out of jail free card. Like, hey, we're the ones being abused here. We're the victims here. You can't say that about us. But there's being the victims and then victimizing other people. I feel like sometimes while there's freedom of speech, and I still believe in freedom of speech, you're free to say what you want to say or perform how you want to perform, but you're also free to receive the consequences of your actions.
Yeah,
I think that's my take on it.
I 100% agree with that, because when we were watching the video, I was looking at yung mga comments sa mismong video, right? And given that the Philippines is a very religious country, first of all, I think that going into kung ako si pangalan nito, Luca Vega, I think ata, going into that performance, I'm pretty sure he already expected backlash. And as you mentioned, there were other people in that club or bar or whatever, and they didn't seem to have a problem with it. So I don't think he should be the only one getting slack for that. It's not like he was forcing it into their throats, and they were like, oh, please. They were they were digging it, right? So maybe that's a larger conversation that should happen anyways. Maybe the younger generation, I'm not sure if they're not as religious anymore, but because like you mentioned, people who were marginalized or discriminated way in the past, I think what we should be pushing for isn't really okay, kami naman magana sa inyo. It should be equality and respect. I think that's what people are asking for, just respect. You can feel free to express yourself, but you should also have other people in mind. That's just my thing. Ikaw?
Okay, I mean, para sa akin lang naman, I agree to what both of you are saying, but I also kind of get where he was coming from, in a sense that, because he did a whole apology, I wouldn't even consider that apology, but he explained himself, and he was saying that this is just my way of praising the Lord, right? In my his way of expressing his and connecting to the Lord, because he said that with his personal experience with the church, they have been discriminating against him because of him being queer. So he's just trying to that's his way to cope with that, with that part of it. And for me, it's okay. I mean, as you said, it's his way, and everyone is free to do what they want to do as long as we're not disrespecting anyone. But then,
I didn't say that he's free to do it as long as he's not disrespecting. He's free to do it regardless. Whether he disrespects people, that's gonna happen regardless as well. So he needs to be able to understand that people are gonna feel offended. Now he doesn't have to feel apologetic about it. Like if you saw his response, we'll flash it up. You know, he didn't seem very apologetic, but he was like, "Hey, this is my justification. This is how I connect with him. This is how I help other people within the queer community connect with the Lord." And he's justified in saying that. But I think if he expects no backlash and he thinks that justification is enough to justify no backlash, then he's delusional. That's my take.
Yeah, and I think for me, as Liz said, I think he because we're in a Catholic country, right? We already know that even though the LGBT, and this is just my opinion, there's a big community here regarding the LGBTQ, but I don't think it's like, I don't think it's fully accepted here. I just think it's tolerated, right? Like I don't think people will be throwing stones at gay people, but I also don't think that they'll be like, all right, open arms, and they wouldn't have like any, like, I think there's still a bit of judgment just based on the different like people that I've met. Yeah. But with the drag queen specifically, I think he already expected that backlash, and I think it's like, I said what I said, I did what I did, and that's fine. But also there's gonna be another side of the coin where people really got offended, and we'll flash the comments here, but there were a lot of people who got offended, and the point of most of them was like, we're trying to, you guys expect us to respect you, but you're not really respecting our religion, because religion for some people is very sacred, right? And for other people, he was doing a mockery of that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But in his point of view, it wasn't a mockery, it was just his way of of showing his devotion, or like relating to Jesus Christ, right? So I think two things can be true at once, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But that yeah.
Like one thing that it got into Congress, right? Or I think within like the senatorial like meetings, they had like a meeting about it. Now there were a lot of takes there.
Dapat gamitin ng issue para itanggi ang karapatan at proteksyon ng LGBTQIA+ community.
And I think that's a good point, because just because an individual does something and that individual is part of a group doesn't mean that the whole group should be penalized for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very true, and to this day I kind of don't get as to even why that should be mentioned in the first place, because let's say, for example, a straight person did something, no one's gonna like look at other straight people and think, oh, they might do that as well, right? So why should it be the case for, let's say, a gay person, right? Why should they be generalized? So I think common sense would hopefully would allow us not to like generalize other gay people, because like I think there was the first trans senator, she also spoke about that, and she was against it, right? But she's trans, she's in the part of the community, right? So people are their own individuals, they have their own minds, their own brains, and their own actions, and it should just be associated with that specific person and not the whole community.
And I think that should be what we strive to be. Everyone should just be seen as individuals rather than part of bigger groups.
Yeah, I think that's gonna end racism.
So we solved.
It's gonna solve the world.
Crack the code.
We figured it out, guys. Like,
but yeah, I think because at the end of the day, like you said, people are free to do whatever they want, but they also should be aware of the consequences that come with that. And as long as you're aware, and you're not delusional, like, oh wait, what? Why are you guys? As long as you're aware, then whatever, right? That's just my take.
Yeah, and for me, like, this is kind of not related to the actual video, but there was like just in relation to the whole LGBTQ versus straight community. Is that I saw this trending news about like Vice Ganda and some person on Showtime. They were on like a kids section of the Showtime, and then they were doing like kind of like I want to say like a sexual act that like Vice Ganda was licking the
sexual
cake.
Innuendo.
Yeah, licking the cake of the finger of that guy, and kids were there. And then people started complaining, and then the MTRCB, I'm not sure that's what they're called, they like filed like a complaint.
Yeah.
And then the LGBT community were like, okay, so when it's straight people doing it, it's fine, because apparently some other guy on GMA made out with like his wife on the show, and nobody said anything. But when
was it a kids show as well?
Because there were kids there too.
Okay.
So that's why they were like, okay, so if it's straight people doing it, it's fine. But if it's like the gay people or the LGBT community, the people complain.
Well, my opinion on that is that both should have got complaints.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're both wrong.
Yeah. I also think they're both
But there
wrong.
is a point in why is it that he got penalized but that the person didn't?
And one comment said because they're pushing, because they were like, spare the kids, right? The whole like the whole like
Spare the
LGBT like, and which is also again, this is like another conversation for another day, but the whole, all right, LGBTQ community, sometimes there's like a limit, let's say with parents, and like we're teaching it to the kids, and then because kids get influenced really like at a young age, right? So they're afraid that if kids see that, then they'll think that, oh, okay, that's pretty cool to do, and then that's where the gayness starts. But again, this is what I've just been looking at the comments, right? And what's your opinion on that?
Well, no, because like living here for a while, and coming from a country where there, being gay wasn't really talked about, it wasn't common at all. I guess I always ask, like, I don't know myself, like, why are there so many gay people here? And maybe some could say, yes, it's because it's, it's so commonly shown on like TVs, or there's, like drag shows or whatever, or Miss Gays. Kids are already like exposed to that at an early age, and maybe, kids are sponges, right? So they're just like absorb everything they're seeing. That could be it. Or, because like, it could also be like, you could ask yourself, okay, why are there so many straight people? Like, I don't know, I just think people should just like think of sex as how it's being shown with like straight people. I don't think there's so many gay people, has to be straight people. Just like, is that person a good person? Are they doing what they have to do to society? And that's it. Mm-hmm. But I do understand why parents would be like, yeah, we don't want to expose our kids to all that just because it's not the norm. But let's say in 20, 30 years, maybe it's not going to be a topic in general. So who knows?
I guess I have a similar but different opinion on this. So one thing I would say is, to answer your question of why there's so many gays here, I think it's because, normally when you see a gay person, right, on TV and stuff, they're very overtly gay, right? Now, if you're a person who discovers that you're gay, right, and you see that all your gay figures, your public figures are very overtly gay, you sort of that'll sort of be what you think I need to be, because that's how you be gay, because I'm gay, right? No, I'm not. I'm saying this. Don't take this out of context. But in
just
that scenario,
I'm gay.
Yeah.
It's coming out story.
Okay, so that's what I think happens. Whereas in maybe other countries, there's also gay people who are just. They're not overtly gay. Because I feel like being gay is not a personality. It's just your sexual orientation, and I feel like here that's not really been as advertised. If you're gay, you have to be overtly gay. And so that's like a big thing. That's my theory on that aspect. And in terms of like the other aspect of like does seeing gays kissing or other stuff make people gay? I think that let's say you're a confused person, you're not sure. If you see that the norm is being straight, and then gay is being not straight, you're like, oh, maybe I'm gay, right? You start thinking that, but maybe you're not actually gay. You're trans, or you're something else. But because that's all you see as the other option, you don't know that there are more options. So I think in general, it's sort of like maybe another reason why there's more gay people is because there's more people who were confused but didn't know that there were other options, and so now they've become gay. Like I think we had this discussion about trans people. I know we're getting a little far here, but how like there are some people that were gay, but now they're suddenly trans, and it's not because they wanted to be a girl, it's because they wanted to date a straight guy. And it was sort of like, wait, that's not a good reason to become trans, because now you're changing your sex and your gender, but your sexual orientation hasn't changed. And it's not like you wanted to be a girl; you just wanted to date a straight guy. Right, and that's a whole other issue.
Like they don't identify as women; they still identify as a man, but they just want to date a guy. But they think that the way
now
to
this
do
is
that
not everybody, but this is there are I've seen select cases here, not so much in the U.S. where I feel like it's more. There's more information, so people can make better decisions. Whereas here, there's not enough information, so people are like, oh, am I gay, or am I just straight but a different gender?
Yeah. I totally agree. But let us know what you guys think in the comments. The point of this channel is just to like start a dialogue about things that are not usually discussed about. I know that this topic is still kind of a hot topic in the Philippines. But yeah, we do want to know like your thoughts, like people in the LGBT community, people like who are heterosexual or anything or queer, like would love to know your comments, because I also think that I'm a bit ignorant sometimes within this particular topic, so I would love to be educated as well.
Yep, same.
All right.
All right, well, thank
Till
you so
next
much
time.
for watching, guys, and salamat ulit.